let's talk about what's happening behind your eyes. This is the space that I spoke about a little bit in my previous video. And it's the place that we all are coming from. But that place is very difficult to describe and pinpoint. Behind your eyes. So we all take it for granted that we're seeing out of our eyes and hearing out of our ears. But we don't investigate any further. But what is it that is seeing out of our eyes? What is it that is hearing? Where is it? And what is it that gives us the sense of awareness, the perception of sound and colours? Because behind the eyes is a very odd place to investigate and almost impossible to describe. Our biological understanding is, well, light enters the retina and is inverted and is picked up by the cones and rods at the optical centre of the brain and then interpreted as pictures to the mind. But that's all well and good, but our actual lived sense of reality, our experiential reality of seeing, doesn't need that explanation to work. It just is. And of course the neurophysiology and the biology is important, clearly. The empirical knowledge that we base our medicine on is fundamental to our health and well-being. But our experiential idea of what is happening, or our experience of what is happening, is difficult to pinpoint. Douglas Harding famously talked about the headless way, and his work is admirably continued by Richard Lang, who is still writing books and talking about this idea of the space, that the emptiness behind the eyes. And we might just do a few of Douglas Harding's experiments here, or maybe one of them, just to point to this. So if you take your index finger and point outwards at an object in the room or in the environment that you are in, it might be a little bit disconcerting if it's a public place, and perhaps you'd want to try this at home. But if you're prepared to be looked at a bit strangely, you could actually do it now in a public place. But basically take your index finger and point to an object that is in your environment. It could be a table or a chair or a wall or a picture. You could point to outside of the window to a tree or a building or a car, or perhaps not a person. So point to that. And you can see an object and you can describe it. It has form and colour and shape and context, and you can point to that and say, well, that is out there, and that is an object. Let's say, for argument's sake, that is a chair, and you can describe it and you can see it. And now you can take your finger and you can point maybe to your toes, and you can point down and you could see that they are your toes or your shoe, and then you could point to your knee and you could see the texture of the material that's covering that knee. And then take that finger and turn it around and point at your eyes. And now ask yourself, what are you pointing at? Now, of course, you are looking at me and you can see that clearly I'm pointing at my face, my head. But for your experience, when you do this and you look at the end of that finger and you ask, what is it pointing at? That is the realization that there is nothing that it is pointing to. There is not an object there. There is not a thing that you can describe, that you can contextualize, that you can see a form and a shape and articulate its appearance. when you do this, your experience, well, that will be completely different to either seeing me do it here on the video, or even if you were to do it in a mirror. But when you're actually looking at the end of that finger and you're wondering where that finger is pointing to, that is pointing to the mystery. That is pointing to the space or the emptiness behind your eyes. There is no thing there. That's pointing to nothing. The emptiness, in Buddhist terms, out of which everything is born. And we come from that place all the time. We live in that place. We don't live in the external world of form. We don't even live in the understanding of our biology and how the eyes work and how the brain works. We don't live there. They are understandings and knowledge about what is happening, but actually the effortless sense of being alive and present happens without any of that information, without any of that knowledge, and it is here, and it is instantaneous, and it is closer to what you are than anything else, than these words, than any information or knowledge that you can gain about what is happening in terms of perception. And a little bit of investigation right now will show you that you have no idea where you're coming from behind the eyes. Behind the eyes is emptiness and mystery. Behind your eyes is the true essence of what you are. It's the pure visceral experience of being, of existence. You haven't got another set of eyes behind your eyes that are looking through your eyes, like little peepholes in this head. There isn't something behind there, another set of eyes that is looking out of these openings. There isn't even a small version of yourself behind your eyes that is taking account of the sounds and the sight, or in your hands taking account of the touch and feel, or the nose that's smelling. There isn't something within this space here that is finite and defined that is taking in all this information. We can explain how it might be happening in terms of the neurophysiology of the brain, of course, and how it senses different inputs, but the experiential conscious awareness of that, that's the mystery, and that is the emptiness behind your eyes, and you are that, and that is effortless awareness, unconditional being, and that's the starting point. That's not a destination to find. That's where we start from, and then we build a picture of the world from that place. But that place isn't the world. That place is not the world of form, and not the world of categorization and understanding, but that is the effortless awareness that begins, that is always there and never ends, out of which we then build a picture of the world of form and our place and our connection to that. But that pure, effortless awareness is a monistic metaphysics. That is oneness. That is non-duality. That is Advaita Vedanta. And that is where you're coming from. That is what you are. You are that mystery, that space behind your eyes.